Okay, quick introduction to today's episode. Marcus Smith is a crossfitter, ultramarathon runner, ultra cyclist. Marcus does everything. I met Marcus when I was in Dubai in January running the Dubai Marathon, which I know some of you have seen on Instagram. I ran it with a hoodie and a full backpack to try and prepare for the Marathon de Sabla in April. And Marcus was a person that I met who runs Inner Fight CrossFit gym in Dubai, and he's just a freaking awesome guy. He's just so positive in the things that he does and the way he approaches life. He's got a real take no prisoners attitude that you will hopefully resonate with as the episode goes on. We talk everything from his background in professional rugby to CrossFit to doing the Marathon de Sabla to doing ultra marathons, and all the value that he provided in terms of using some of his own stories that will give reference to pushing past limits. So I loved this episode. Marcus is one of these people that I could talk to all day. I was fired up like crazy after this, particularly as we started to have a back and forth towards the end of the episode. So I hope you all get as much value as I got recording it. So hope you enjoy. Catch you on the other side.
You're listening to the Brian Keane Fitness Podcast, where Irish fitness entrepreneur Brian Keane answers your questions and interviews leaders in the world of fitness, health, mindset, and natural wellness. Come join the fun.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Brian Keane Fitness Podcast. We talk everything fitness, nutrition, and mindset to help you with your goals. I'm so excited today to have my guest Marcus Smith with me. Marcus is the founder of Inner Fight, a health and performance company delivering increased human performance across platforms including group strength and conditioning, personal performance coaching, corporate performance and motivation, endurance programs, and more. Inner Fight provides a content-rich platform containing a vast number of performance-related articles, podcasts, training plans, and paleo food recipes. Marcus is also a highly qualified performance coach and an international athlete. As well as pioneering the groundbreaking Smash Life seminar, he also teaches a number of Inner Fight classes, delivers holistic performance coaching, and has been one of the top 10 fittest men in Asia for the last 3 years and ran multiple marathons and ultramarathons. He actually completed the Marathon de Sabla race, which is a 256 kilometer self-sufficient run through the Sahara Desert that I'll be doing in April, and I actually got all the equipment list from Marcus because he helps people run that race and works with his clients, so I'm forever indebted. So if I get through that race and don't die, you can thank Marcus for it. Marcus, welcome to the show.
Mate, I actually think I should hire you as my publicist. You told me a lot better than I told me, bro. So, mate, thanks a lot for having me on. I appreciate it, buddy.
Mate, my pleasure. Marcus, tell everybody a little bit more about yourself. There's so much we can go into. You have areas of expertise in nearly everything. Tell everyone where you're based, where you're from, and a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, bro. So I was actually born in the UK almost 40 years ago. And when I was 4 years old, I moved to Dubai, which has been my home, which is where I'm talking to you from today for the last sort of 36 years. And basically, apart from a stint of boarding school in the UK because I was a bad kid, and university, and then I did 2 years when I was playing professional rugby down in Australia. Mate, and then, I mean, to cut the chase, I moved back here in 2004. And I remember so clearly, mate, I was working for Adidas and I was invited to a talk, and I should have never been invited. It was just unreal. I was the lowest of the low in Adidas. I was like junior sales assistant. I wasn't even an executive. I was just low, but I knew I was going to crush it. And I got this wild card invite to this seminar. There was 2,000 people in this room, and this guy stood up on the stage and he started talking, and he got 2,000 people just transfixed on him. And I was like, holy shit, I want to be that guy. I have to be that guy. I was like, I can do it. And mate, at that stage, I was petrified of public speaking. Used to absolutely hate it. I wouldn't say I was an introvert, but I was not what I am today. That's
I was going to say, it's not what I would picture you as.
Yeah, buddy. And I was just like, I can do that. And he was giving sales training, mate, but it wasn't. And this is one of the things is that, you know, sometimes when you hear people speak and they speak with drive and passion and energy, that just motivated me like beyond reason. And I was like, I can do that to make people's lives better. And I was sat there, mate, and it was super arrogant. I was 24 years old. And I was like, I sort of went home, or driving home, and I'm like fully fired up, and I'm going to be that guy. And I was like, dude, you know nothing. You're 24. you need to do your school. So, mate, that led me to sort of the next 5 years, like learning in the corporate world. I wouldn't call myself a corporate slave. The corporate world was almost a slave to me. I think that's one of the big learnings, mate, that I could share with people. I know a lot of people listen to your podcast. You're super inspirational. You've given up the normal life, so to speak, to be an entrepreneur. And it's like, you just feel it. You're just like, but it's not time yet. So I'm going to learn as much as I can. I'm going to use Adidas, and that's where I was working for at the time. I was like, I'm going to fly up the ranks in Adidas. I'm going to go to everything. I was the only nerd using the company library. And I was just eating through books on sales, on body language. And I was like, this is my second university. Like, mate, I didn't learn anything in my first university. I was just playing rugby with one time. And I was like, Adidas is where it's going to be. There's guys that have been in this industry, that have run businesses, that are working in my company, and they've been here for like 20 or 30 years. I'm going to learn from them, and I'm going to get ready. And it was from that day, like, I'm going to get ready, and I'm going to hop into it. And that was really the vision, mate. So that's where that's sort of a long story short. That's where it started. And I was like, I just know I can do this. And yeah, 2018. And I'm just excited about life, mate.
Man, that's so awesome. But it just shows for anybody that's listening that is in a job or an environment where they're like, oh, I'm not happy with, the relationship I'm in, or the job I'm in, or the life I'm living. You can literally take your situation and take the positives from it and then go do your own thing, whatever that looks like for you. Yeah. You walking example of it. Take the corporate message, learn as much as you can, and then go do the thing that you were meant to do.
Exactly, mate. And the thing is as well, Brian, you see it a lot these days, and like our industry's a crazy industry, the fitness industry that we're both in. But, you've got 23 and 24-year-olds like experts. You're not even an expert at tying your freaking shoelaces yet, bro. Just chill, and that's where you get, like, you have to learn, mate, and you have to take the time to learn. Like, I know there's self-made millionaires at 18, and I respect those guys, but they're the books you read. They're the one in a million. If you really want to win big, you have to listen to people. You have to really learn. And like, I still say that Adidas, like, I was there for just over 5 years. It was the best education, and I got paid for it. And after 2 years, this is quite a funny story, man. I have to share it with you. Like, after I'd been in the job a year and a half, and I walked in my boss's office, I was still a shit kicker. And I said, mate, I've had enough. I said, within a year, I'm going to sit on your table. You're out. And this guy looks at me, mate, and he's like, kid, like, what are you even talking about? I said, I'm telling you, I'm having your table. I want to go up, and I'm here. I'm ready. I'm in. I'm all in. I'm going to work like hell. And this guy's been in the company 15 years. Mate, less than a year later, I was sat in his chair. And it's just, but it wasn't like I didn't want to jump out and be a speaker, or I didn't want to jump out and be a motivational guy a year later. I knew I had to learn. I had to meet people. I had to have these experiences. And I think that's the thing. Like, there is some times where it's like, now's the time. Like, some 24-year-olds need to stop and need to go and do. But a lot of people just need to bide that little bit of time. And I think that's the hardest thing, mate. I don't know what you found, but the hardest thing is what actually is the right time. I think that's what people are struggling with these days, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the thing is, I personally, the belief system that served me is that there's never the right time, but you can always make sure that you're taking the right steps every day. I speak about it regularly. It's a part of it in my book, about making sure that you're better off being at the bottom of the ladder against the right wall than halfway up the ladder against the wrong wall. And as long as you're doing the right things every day, it doesn't matter if you're so far away from it, as long as you're moving in the right direction. And I think that's probably more important than when to start for me in terms of serving me and people listening, maybe.
And I think that's the thing as well, mate. Like, that's what I identified early. I was like, you know, that guy in that room, I'm going to be that guy. But then I did, and this is what, I know you're big into it, mate. And I love, like, an inventory of where we're at. I want to see where we're at. I want to see, okay, what am I actually good at? What am I not good at? What do I need? You know, a lot of the time, mate, I actually didn't focus a lot on what I'm bad at, but I just went all in on what I was good at. And I wanted to make those skills even better and better and better. But without having that inventory and without understanding really where you are, you're still, I just want to be that guy. Like, I wanted to be that guy so badly that I went home and made an inventory. And then I walked into my boss's office and I said, I'm having your job. Yeah. And then a few years later, I went to my next boss and I said, I need another job. And he didn't do anything about it. And then I resigned and I walked into his office. I said, what have you done? He said, what do you mean? What have I done? I said, yeah, I told you I want to grow. I want another job. He said, I haven't found you one. I said, well, here's my resignation. I'm out. You know, so it's really about having that inventory and doing those things. Like you said, the ladder leaning against the right wall, mate, I think that's a really nice way to put it. And it really does make a difference.
Oh, yeah, I think it's absolutely imperative in everything that you do, you know, relationships, fitness, lifestyle, jobs, business, you know. Again, when your ladder's against the wrong wall, you're just getting to the wrong place faster. So, you know, it doesn't matter how. So it's always worth taking inventory on it.
Right. Is that copyrighted? Because I'm stealing it.
Mate, you can have it, man. Mate, you can have it. It's yours.
I love it.
Come here, Marcus. In terms of your fitness history, I know rugby was your background, and you do some crazy fucking shit now with, like, the marathon sauna, the cycling that you do. What got you into fitness first? And give me a bit of a talk through that timeline on start to kind of where you're at now.
That's it, mate. I love that question because I think this is where some people are going a little bit wrong, be it if they're parents or if they're children. Mate, that hands down, the number one thing that made me get into fitness and stay in fitness and have a healthy lifestyle is my parents. I remember, like, Sunday over there is like Friday here, and I'd go into my parents' room on a Friday morning and my mom would be in bed on her own. And I'd be like, where's my dad? And she'd be like, oh, he got up at 4:30 and he's riding his bike. I was like, what? And, mate, that happened over and over. And then Dad would play squash with me all the time, and Dad would be in the gym the whole time. I never forget, mate, I used to go to the gym door and I used to peer in through it. And as soon as the instructor went out the back, I used to dive in and get on the contact. But this is the thing, mate. That's what I saw. Like, you are a product of your environment, mate. And this is what I say to people. If your environment, if you do that inventory and your environment is trashed, you have to change it. So my parents I've got my parents to thank for everything, mate. They've done everything for me. My wife and my parents, without them, I don't know what had happened, but they're there, so that's all good. And that environment they created, mate, and they were like, Dad said, I'm going to send you to boarding school. You're going to play sport the whole time. And I was like, wow, that's just, you know, I was just so fortunate that I got that opportunity. And I never wanted to let that opportunity pass, mate. I don't give a flying fuck about the history of this or geography. Like, I just genuinely didn't care. Yeah. I was so disruptive in classes. All I wanted to do was play sport because that's how my dad sold me boarding school. He's like, you're going to be in a dormitory with your mates. You can just play sport all the time. And I was like, that's awesome. And all I was thinking about doing is playing sport. And it's not a surprise. You talk about environment, or I talk about environment a bit, mate. The only subjects that I was actually good at in school were the subjects that my sport teachers that I respected taught me. My math teacher was my rugby coach. I was good at rugby. My French teacher was my cricket coach. Believe it or not, mate, I used to speak fluent French, you know? And so this is what just, like, I just want to really help people so much these days. That's why when, you know, parents come with their kids to see me at the gym and they're like, oh, my child is 12 years old. He's suffering this, that, and the other. I'm like, okay, there's two things. First thing, I'm going to help you. And yeah, you can bring your kid to my gym. My gym has, my nephew is 3 years old. He comes to my kids' class. And my mom is my oldest member. She's 73. So, you know, age is not the barrier. But I say to parents, you have to fix the environment. You have to stay as, like, parents are icons. You know, they're our heroes, mate, you know, and we need to look up to the right thing. So if you're a parent and you're in bad shape, sort that shit out, you know? I know you've got a daughter, mate, and you imagine your daughter, like, she's looking at your pictures and going, my dad is a fucking rock star. Like, literally what you're doing and the way that you're changing people's lives is amazing. And I had that from the start. My dad was a rock star, mate, and you wouldn't believe it. This is hilarious. My mum was one of the original Jane Fonda aerobics instructors.
Jesus.
No shit. She, mate, because there was nothing like it in Dubai, and she literally used to walk into, at that time there was no aerobic studios, so they used to use a squash court. She'd walk in with her boombox, mate, shoes off, those funky leg warmers on, the G-string over the leotard. It's like fucking
That's
crazy.
amazing. For anyone that doesn't know, and that's a younger listener, like, just go to YouTube. Just go to YouTube and just put in, like, Jane Fonda 70s workouts or 80s workouts, and it's just amazing.
It's amazing, mate. And it's funny. And she was like, yeah, I'm going to teach this stuff. And imagine, mate, how old school it was back in the day. They used to put all the music on cassette tapes and with the beat and everything. And yeah, and so, mate, that's how sport started for me. And I was just like, I loved it, mate. And I happened to be reasonable at it. Like, I was always pretty good at school. And then, you know, as I went through university, I got picked up and I got offered a semi-pro contract playing rugby. And I just loved it, mate. I loved the camaraderie. I loved being in a team and, like, all the positives that we hear about. And I just loved being part of something that was so much bigger than me, mate. And I was just a small cog and just, you know, grinding to win. And, you know, and that, I think that was one of the biggest things as well. What I loved sport because you could win. And from an early age, like, that's all I wanted to do. Backyard cricket with my dad. Like, I just wanted to win, mate. And it's not changed now. Like, we'll do something casual, or I'm a prick, mate. Like, I just, you know, I want to pitch you at the post. And it's sort of, but that's what sport does. And it was the same. Like, I started seeing that when I was working as well, that, you know, in work, I wanted to win. I wanted to smash the other sales guys. I wanted to walk into my boss's office. I wanted to own him, you know? And I think that attitude that my parents gave me and from sport is something that, you know, it's not luck, mate. I think luck's bullshit. I don't think anything's luck. I think we all dealt a deck of cards. And we, you know, okay, some people have it easy and they fail. Some people have unlimited finances and they fail. Some people come from nothing and they're the biggest winners. It's your choice that you make every single day, mate. And, you know, I just, seeing it in my parents and being in that environment, I was just like, this is amazing, you know. And from the start, I loved sport, mate. And my dad, you know, coming on to that ultra stuff that you spoke about, Brian, like, my dad I remember his first long bike ride, he went from Land's End to John O'Groats. And you imagine, mate, as a 12-year-old, like, my dad and a few of his mates, they're going to cycle the length of the country. You know what I mean? I'm like,
any idea what that distance is? That I can't even fathom that distance.
I think it's about 1,000 miles, mate, about 900 or 1,000 miles. And, you know, and then the next year or 2 years later, he's gone down to New Zealand and he cycled from the north of the North Island in New Zealand to the bottom of the South Island. It took 2 weeks, like 150 to 200 Ks a day for 2 weeks, you know? And you think, and go back to what I said about environment, he hooked up with some guys, like one of them was an Ironman triathlete. The other one was a previous Olympian. So it's like he was in this environment that was like pushing him and pushing him. But I was this dork at school, like, you know, everyone's talking about picking up chicks, and I'm going, yeah, my dad's just rode Land's End to John O'Groats, guys. And everyone's like, who gives a shit, bro? And I'm like, yeah, but the chicks should dig that.
Well, that's true. That's a very fair point. Chicks dig big quads.
And chicks are just going, yeah, mate. But I think honestly, mate, that's probably where it starts. Like, I think that's where it all starts. And that's what I just really encourage parents at the moment, just to give, you know, society is pretty crazy these days. You know, you've got a young daughter, like iPads, this and that and the other. But I know, like, for you, you're giving your daughter the bestest chance of just winning, mate, because you're inspirational and you're out there and you're doing it. And that's what my parents were to me. So, yeah, Dad just said, he said, mate, go and study sport at university if you want. And that's what I did. I did a degree in sport and leisure management. And he goes, you just have to get that piece of paper. And, you know, so it was really my parents that got me all started and, you know, and excited about it, mate. And that's why I'm sort of keen to try and share that with everyone, because I know what they were able to do with me. So if I can share a little bit of that, and through Inner Fight, we've created an environment that's just, you know, it's so unique and so different. And we let kids in from 3 years old. And I only have 2 rules here, mate. I say there's 2 rules. You have to have fun and you have to be safe. That's it. Yeah. You know, there literally is nothing. And don't be a dickhead, you know.
That's a life rule.
That's a life rule, mate. So, you know, and that's what I say to people. Like, it's not that you're a 25-year-old or that you brought in a 5-year-old. You know, if you're safe and you're gonna have fun, you're gonna do super good. So, and I think they're the ingredients, mate. And yeah, that's how it all started for me, seeing my dad not in the bed on the weekend and wondering where the hell he's gone, but he's out cycling. Amazing.
It's amazing. It just shows, and it's when you're in a certain environment and you see, because it's landing a lot with me, because obviously my daughter is 2, she's 3 the end of May, and what they're seeing is forming who they become, and you're literally a living example of that. You know, your dad wasn't like, right, I'm going to go out every day and I'm going to train, and hopefully Marcus down in 20 years time will have a gym and he'll be smashing it and inspiring people all over. He was just living it himself, and as a result, you ended up becoming the person you became and helped thousands of people and countless of people to the things that you do as a result. It's incredible to me.
It is, mate. It's something quite cool. My dad, I mean, you know, this is not really all about my dad, but I think it's important. You know, the way that he sort of raised us as well is he gave us that platform, and then he let us go and do. And he was actually super tough. Like I remember when I was at boarding school, and I qualified for nationals in cross country. I don't know why people do cross country, mate. It's a weird sport, but I was like really thin and like I've become now from cycling too much, but I was like thin and small, and I was incredibly good at running. And I just remember speaking to him, like, we're allowed 1 phone call a week, and yeah, I've qualified for nationals, Dad. I'm like one of the top guys in the county in Nottinghamshire. And he's like, okay, when's the race? I was like, it's next Saturday. I'm super pumped. And he goes, okay, talk to you next week. And I'm like, dude, do you get what's happening? Like, and I'm like thinking all along, no, he just doesn't understand. But reflecting on it, mate, like, and this is another thing that I see just happening a bit too much these days. Like, and I don't think I should have been told well done any more than I was. I think Dad dished them out at exactly the right time. But I think that sort of, I always just wanted to make him say well done. And like, it took a long time, mate, and it took a lot. And that drove me because I knew he'd inspired me, and I wanted to make him happy. And I knew to make him happy, he'd say well done to me, but it just took forever and ever and ever, you know? And that's another thing. Like, I think it's quite a tough approach. Like, maybe I made him out to be pretty tough. He was tough, mate, and I wouldn't change a thing. But I'm like, wow, like, it's like kids get a medal for finishing last in a freaking race these days. Yeah. Like, what's going on, you know? And I actually posted something about that on my social media recently, and everyone started barking up. But
I liked it. I was like, that's fucking spot on, Marcus.
But it's like, you know, mate, I want everyone to participate, and participation's amazing, but we shouldn't be rewarding it at the same time. Mm. You know, maybe I come from a little bit of an old school background. I'm 40 now, or coming up 40, you know. But I just think that little bit of reality as well of sort of what is good and what should be rewarded. We just need to keep that a little bit in check as well. It's almost like, oh, shit, yeah, I did 5 workouts this week. Let's go on the piss for the whole weekend. Yeah. It's like, guys, chill. Just chill, you know? You're 40 kilos overweight still.
Yeah.
The fact that you've just done 5 workouts doesn't get you 10 pizzas and 25 pints across the weekend, you know? So yeah, mate, it was an interesting time. And then Yeah, I guess after rugby, mate, like I retired from rugby in 2009. We played in the Rugby Sevens World Cup here in Dubai, and that was an amazing experience. And I just turned 31, and actually in the sevens tournament after that, some Welsh guy picked me up and absolutely emptied me, mate. And I was like, that's enough, mate. It's a crazy story. I'm not sure if people want to listen to this, but I landed on my hip, and I had such bad bleeding that my men's gear actually turned black.
Oh, shit.
Didn't get any longer, unfortunately.
They wouldn't have been able to do anything with it, even if it fucking did.
And I was like, you know what? And that's when, mate, to lead into it, that's kind of, one of my mates called me up and he goes, oh, there's a marathon, Dubai Marathon. This was in December. He goes, end of December, he called me up. He goes, Dubai Marathon's in 3 weeks. I was like, yes. He didn't even say, do you want to run it? I was like, yeah, let's do that. And I laugh when I tell this story. He goes, let's go training tomorrow. I said, yeah, bro. And he said, we'll run half of it so we know the course. Like a couple of dumb rugby players. I was about 98 kilos and I was a bit heavier. And it was horrific, mate. We ran half of Dubai Marathon and it was mayhem. I was like, my feet were killing. I was like, what am I doing? Couldn't walk for 2 days. And then, luckily, he didn't call me till like the next weekend. He goes, mate, we need to go training again. And he goes, we'll run the other half, so we'll run backwards. You know what Dubai Marathon's like? You've just done it recently. Like, it's basically up and down. And we did it again. And I was like, oh, my God, this is terrible. And I've got like 2 weeks left of the marathon. And everything I knew until that stage, like, I hadn't really jumped. This was 2010. I hadn't really jumped too much into endurance. I was like, I've read all these magazines, like when I was doing cross country at school. And I always used to read the marathon training systems. And they were always like, you need to go long. So I called him up and I said, mate, next weekend we're going to go long. We're going to run 30K. And, mate, you know what Dubai's like. It's quite flat, not many places to go. And it's just after the Palm had been built. And I said to him, I said, what we're going to do, mate, I've mapped it out on Google Earth. We're going to run up the trunk, and then we're just going to run every single frond on the Palm. Mind numbing, bro. And I said, I've calculated it because they've not actually finished one frond. It's closed, and it gets us about 32K. We'll start at Costa, we'll finish at Costa. Oh, bro, it was a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. And then I was like, well, I'll do this marathon sub 4, obviously, because like I've played rugby all my life and I'm fit and I'm arrogant, and I was like, I'll do it sub 4.
Sub 4 for anyone that's not a marathon runner is under 4 hours, just to give you context on that.
Which is no world record, mate. But as your first marathon, it's a pretty ballsy thing to sort of splash out there, especially if you've only done half marathon 1 week, half marathon the next week, and a 30K. So I get out there, mate, and I remember when it happened, about 35K, and it was horrific. It was absolutely horrific. And I saw this dream of moving, like not moving into marathon running, but just setting a goal and smashing it. And I missed it by 2 minutes. I ran 4:02. And it's very funny the first time you run a marathon. I think everyone should do one at least once, because it's one of the most incredible feelings when you cross the line. It's everything and nothing. It's all this training. It's 4 hours of pain, or in my case, 4 hours of pain. Missed my target, completely empty. What am I going to do with my life? Retired from rugby, you know. And I actually called one of my mates and I said, mate, never again. And he said, let's talk about this another time. And it was actually quite strange, because a week before the Dubai Marathon, I had some dinner with a friend of mine, and I'd said to him, I said, I'm going to run Dubai Marathon, and I'm all pumped up, and I'm going to do sub 4 because I'm arrogant and I'm a bullshit and I know I'm going to do it. And he goes to me, he goes, Marcus, listen, when you want to talk about a real marathon, give me a shout. And I was like, mate, it's a real marathon. It's 42.2K. This is as real as it freaking gets. Like, what are you talking about? And I called him a few days afterwards. I said, mate, what are you talking about? He goes, I'll send you an email. And he sent me an email about Marathon des Sables. I started reading it, mate, as you probably did. And I was just like, fuck that. Not a chance. Like, fuck all of it. I'm no way, mate. Like, no freaking way. And, mate, the story goes that actually, meanwhile, we'd started in a fight in 2008. That's the boring stuff. And, you know, I'd started training people, and people sort of saw what I was doing. I started training a lot in CrossFit in 2005 when that kicked off. And in 2011, they had the CrossFit Open, which was to be one of the fittest men in the world. And I was quite decent at CrossFit back in the day. And people were starting to see me as, I don't know, maybe some guy that can do some stuff and help people and coach people and stuff. It was actually 2011 when I left the corporate world. And this one chick called me up. She said, I've been watching what you do, which in those days, mate, now it's quite easy to get your name out there, Instagram, podcasting, all this stuff. You know, she said, I've seen you in Facebook. I remember, mate, as a side note, 2005, when I sort of started this journey of exploring fitness, Facebook had literally just started. YouTube, there was no content out there. It was an amazing time to be in fitness because you used to have to SMS workouts to people and try this, buddy. And it was quite a cool thing, but that's a whole other show. And this chick goes, I've seen some of your stuff. I'd like you to help me. She goes, I'm running, and she was running one of the 4 deserts marathons, which is a little bit different from Marathon du Sol, but it's still an ultra across the Sahara. And mate, I don't like to tell people to do things that I haven't experienced. I find it very difficult to coach someone in something that I don't know what they're going through. Like, I can't say, Brian, go and run 10 400s at 4-minute pace, rest 2 minutes, and you come back to me and you're like, fucking hell, bro, that was just horrific. And I just like, Like, I want to feel it. I want to know what you're feeling. So this chick said, I just want some strength work from you. But I was intrigued, mate. I was like, I need this. I'm going to do, if she can do it, and if I'm going to coach people and help people more, I need these skills. So 2013, I signed up for Dubai Marathon again. I was like, I'm going to get this sub 4. Got a sub 4. And at the same time, signed up for the 2015 Marathon des Sables. And it was, mate, it's unreal. Like, ultra running is something completely, it's hard to describe to people. I'm just so pumped that you're going to go, mate. You're going to have an experience that even we could talk about it and people just wouldn't understand it. It's one of the best experiences that I've had in my life. I learned more from my business, from my life, for anything in the Sahara. And I've done about 4 or 5 different ultras. Like, the first one I did, mate, this is how stupid I was and how naive and arrogant I was. I was like, yeah, there's one down the road in Oman. It's the 300K single stage race. We'll just enter that as a practice for MDS. So I've rocked up at the start and like, I'm like, hey guys, what's going on? And all this, chest is out. And all this. You should watch the video, guys. I'm doing all this stuff. And
easy, yeah, it's worth watching.
If you're listening in your car, just imagine it don't crash. And they're going, why are you here? And I was still about 94 kilos, 95 kilos. I wasn't carrying fat, but I was just carrying a lot of muscle. And I was like, yeah, I've registered for Marathon des Sables next year and just here to, just check out what's ultra running. They're like, this is like 10 times harder. And I've kind of gone, what? Nah, this is, oh shit. And mate, and this is one of the things, and the reason why I share this story, mate, is because I failed in that race. I failed. I got to about 160K, hadn't slept for about 60 hours. I was hallucinating. It's a big, long story, but didn't know where I was, who I was, lost the feeling in my legs up to my knees. And literally, I sat down. I said to my mate who I was running with, I said, bro, I think if we sleep for 10 minutes, we're going to be okay. Like, there was no logic. I'd been awake for 60 hours, run 160 odd K, and I'm like, 10 minutes, this will all go. And like, the clouds will clear, and it'll be a bright, shiny day. And it was 3 in the morning, and I woke up 10 minutes later, and I tried to stand up, fell over, and ended up getting rescued from that race. So the point of my story on this, mate, on ultra running and to bring it to actually something that people can use other than me just waffling, is the first time when I left my rugby career, which was pretty nice, I won some medals. I failed my marathon. I failed a 4:02. And it took me a couple of years to go back. 2013 was when I went back to marathon running. The first ultra I did, or big ultra, was 300K race. I don't care if it's hard. Like, everything's hard for everyone. I'd failed again. And you know what? Going into MDS, I was like, wow, I've learned so much. I'm going to absolutely smash this thing away. So those 2 failures, mate, probably taught me more than anything else. you know? MDS, you learn a lot. And as I said, I'm super excited for you. But I'd started something with running, and it was like an itch that I needed to scratch. But first marathon, massive fail. Like, I was empty at the end, mate. I wasn't crying, but there was nothing in me. And when I got rescued from the desert in that 300K race in Oman, it was just horrific, mate. It's like someone just sticking a knife in you and just turning it and just not, like, it's like you're, like, you think when you get stabbed, you're just going to die and everything's going to be cool. Like, I've watched the movies. It doesn't happen like that, right? They kind of, you know, and it's like, and it's just torturous, mate. And I actually came back from that, and I had nightmares for months, mate, but I couldn't share them. Like, I had nightmares about my hallucinations, but I couldn't really share them with anyone because people would say, well, why are you going to the Sahara? But I knew I had to go to the Sahara to get this monkey off my back and to do it, mate. And, you know, actually we went back to the same desert in Oman with a mutual friend of ours, Tom Otten, and finished that race just in 2016, mate. So my point is super clear. There's something so amazing about ultra running and about ultra events and pushing your body just to such an amazing point. But you're going to fail along the way. You're going to trip up. You're going to, you know, you're going to scratch your head. You're going to have some major issues. But again, if you stay focused on what really the goal is, and you've got a passion and a drive and an energy to eventually win, and winning isn't winning the race. I was never going to win MDS. I came like 300th or something. I'm crap at ultra running. Like, I'm really bad. But to me, the victory was that. And the victory was going back to Oman and actually finishing that desert. And I think that's where the perspective has to come in for a lot of people. You know, when you set your goals and when you do that inventory, like, what really is important and where do you win the most? So that's a little bit about ultra running, mate, but you've got it all to come.
Yeah, mate, that's amazing. Like, your message there on, like, this is a thing that I talk regularly on the podcast about. People being like, oh, whatever, the fear of failure or the fear of success or whatever it is. And people are like, well, you know, what if I can't do it? Failure is an ingredient to success. Like, it's literally something that happens along the way, and it's something that has to happen, because what I love and what you've spoken about there is when you have a failure like that, or a perceived failure, it's one step closer to where you want to be. But, you know, getting pulled out in Oman, you know, your body hallucinating, everything that was just going crazy, that... when you actually hit your target and you finished the MDS and then you went back and did the ultra again, your limitation, your whole world opens up, you know. And I live by the philosophy that how you do anything is how you do everything. And when you push your body to physical limits, it's one of the reasons why I signed up to Marathon des Sables. Like, I no more than you when you came from rugby. Like, I'm fucking not built to run marathons, you know. Like, I'm short, stocky, farmer background, a lot of fucking muscle from my bodybuilding days. Like, not built to run marathons or ultra marathons. But when you push your body to that physical limitation, what happens is your entire life starts to open up, because when you do something and you set yourself a target for, you know, a 5K or a 10K or a half marathon or a marathon or an ultra marathon, and you get there, and when your initial thought process is, I don't know if I can do that, and that's why I signed up to the MDS. We had this conversation over coffee when I was in Dubai. Like, that was my reason for signing up, because my initial thought process was, I don't know if I can do that. And when you start attacking the things that scare you like that, you start questioning everywhere else where you have a limitation, and your whole life can change as a result. Yeah, and that, mate, that was the thing. Like, you know, I don't think everyone's ready to go and do an MDS, but you've got to. It's like I often say, like, you know, everyone's fighting something, and everyone's Everest is different. You know, so where you set that bar out, you're off there now. I've got another challenge coming up. What you learn and how it changes everything, mate. It changes everything. But for the better, you know, it just makes such a positive impact, because you're unable, me sat here in Dubai, you sat there in Ireland, to create this scenario. And to be honest, mate, in 2015 in the Sahara, I knew that I'd continue to do ridiculous challenges. I knew that I'd continue to go to remote places because of, you know, even when I wasn't suffering, you stand in the middle of the Sahara on a salt flat that is for miles, and the earth is so dry that it's opened up. And you're like, what actually am I here? You know, and it's
it's so incredible. It sounds so deep for someone weird like me.
It's a contemplation of your place in the cosmos. Like, I love it. It's just...
Exactly. That's it, mate. And that's such a great way to put it. It's like, what actually... And now, when you start to think, you're like, well, actually, I'm about this big, and I've got my fingers super close together, and I'm tiny, but I'm going to make a massive difference. Yeah. And a lot of the stuff I've done from there in my business, in my speaking, in my brands and everything is being driven by that, because I remember that day so clearly. I've been given, and each one of you, no matter if you've been to Sahara and stood on the salt flats or had your moment across the Highlands of Scotland, I don't give a shit. You've got a unique opportunity to do something incredible. And and I know you get it a lot, you can do it, Brian, because you're Brian. Like, you're Mr. Motivation, you're Mr. Fitness. Bull fucking shit. You've got 2 arms, you've got 2 legs. You shit through your ass. You go to bed at night. Like, you do all of the stuff that we all do. But you and I wake up every morning, mate, and we go, fuck yeah, this is it. I've seen that little bit, and you're just going to get... I'm scared what's going to happen to you once you've been to the Sahara. Like anyone that follows Brian is going to go, what the actual fuck happened there? Because you're going to be freaking, like, you're going to be so fired up. Like, listen, guys, May, June, July, August, September, October, probably for the rest of the year, you're going to see some of Brian's best work on every platform. Honestly, bro, because you're going to have this moment, and this moment happens on everyone's different Everest. But you're going to have this moment, and you've got a choice on that moment. I know what choice you'll make, but we all get this choice, and you're either going to go, fuck yeah, this is it. I'm so all in, and I'm so going to make a difference, and I'm so going to make it happen. And that doesn't mean that you're going to become a motivational speaker or a fucking Insta fuckwit or anything like that. You're going to be real. You're going to be you and what your vision is. Like, for me and for you, mate, we are those stupid fitness dudes and whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? But, you know, and I think that's something, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier about, like, what my parents brought me up with sport, mate. It's something so unique. So I want to just encourage people, like, whatever if your Everest right now is running 1K down to the corner shop to get a loaf of bread, and you just cannot do that, like that, when you do that and when you achieve that, that's going to be that sort of turning point, that tipping point, and it's going to be something amazing. I'm serious what I said. I am scared of what you're going to do after MDS. It's going to be fucking mayhem.
Man, I can't wait, man. It's just pushing that limit, and I absolutely love that everyone's Everest is different. Like you can take mine, I'm going to steal that. I'll quote it to you every time I use it. But normally I would do a call to action at the end of the podcast, but in case I forget, just because I get very sucked into what you're saying, anyone that's listening to this right now, at the end of this episode, head over to Instagram and DM me or DM Marcus what's your Everest. Because sometimes just seeing something visual like that, and when you actually write it down, what's your Everest? For me right now, my Everest is getting through the Marathon des Sables, not dying. You know, it's simple, basic, but that's my goal right now. It's my Everest. It's trying to hit that. And it's relative. Your Everest may be just been getting up an hour earlier every morning. It may be reading more books. It may be being more present with your kids. It's so relative. But what is your Everest? And a call to action for the end of this is DM Marcus or DM me on Instagram. I'll be linking up Marcus's Instagram and all his profiles. Just hit us up, because sometimes when you see it visually in front of you, it just cements it in your own mind, and then sending it can give you that little bit of accountability by just letting us know.
Mate, and honestly, the best one that comes in, I will post it in my Instagram, because I love that shit. It's super motivational for me as well, mate. Honestly, and I think this is not a plug for what you and I do, mate, but isn't it amazing when you get that, when you get a message like that from someone that goes, like, in this case, this is my Everest. Honestly, mate, I just write back, fuck yeah, that's just epic. Like, it motivates us so much more to keep doing what we're doing as well. And just to hear that people have something and have this goal and have this Everest and are working towards it is like, it's amazing. Because you and I put out a lot of different stuff, mate. So to actually hear people coming back and actually a small change, something like you said, so simple, just send us a message and tell us what your Everest is. would be stoked to hear. Really, really stoked.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's funny because, and you probably, from someone that you work with so many people in your gym, through Inner Fight, when you're speaking, podcasting, when you meet people who are attacking their Everest, whatever that is, there's nearly this automatic instant connection. Like anytime I go somewhere to speak, or when I met you first, or our neutral friend Tom, like people that are attacking their Everest, whether it's in business, whether it's in life, whether it's in relationship, whether it's in fitness, you have an automatic connection because you know what that feeling's like.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And that's, you know, and I think that's something that it's easy because you can see that someone's focused and they've got this fire and this desire. And I think that's what, you know, if you look at it from one perspective, mate, like we live in a pretty fucking crazy world right now. We really do. Like you can get down about loads of different things. You know, you can care that your emoji doesn't work in your Instagram, or you can, you know, you can sort of sit around and go, well, that Brexit was quite interesting. If you live in the UK, like, mate, I live in the Middle East. It's crazy here. Or you can take your Everest and you can take that focus and that drive and that desire. You and I, when we sat down, we didn't give a shit about the weather. We didn't give a shit about politics. We didn't want to speak about Brexit. We didn't want to care about, like, I care about what's happening around the Middle East. I don't want people to die. But all we want to talk about is this positive stuff of how I was interested to hear how you're going to get your vision, how you're making your shit come to life. I was passionate to tell you about what I'm doing. And, you know, this is something that I think is truly unique. But if you don't know, it's really difficult. So our default is politics or the weather, which I can change what you and I are talking about. And, you know, we can share ideas and make it better, but we can talk about politics and the weather the whole day, and we ain't going to make no change at all. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? I think that's something super important, mate. Like, you make a super good point. Like, just figure it out and then just share it with people. Like, fucking share it everywhere, you know? And it's like Gandhi said, like, you know, at first they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win, or then they ignore you, then they fight you, then you win. You know, people will laugh, mate. Like, people laugh at a lot of shit that I put out. People were just on my story then. I was doing a live about protein, and people just coming on making stupid jokes. But I know a bunch of people got something out of it. So, you know, you just, and I think that's the thing. Society today, like, stop giving a fuck what people think. Like, who cares? If you know that you want to run across the desert, like, mate, and that's one. This is actually one thing. And me and you are having this joke back and forth about your running cap. Like, ultra running ain't no Milan shit. It's not a fashion show. But you're gonna be you are out there. You are wearing the same clothes for like 5 or 7 days, and you stink, and it's gross. But you're changing your life, and then you're gonna change someone else's. The fact that I can wear some nice tailored swanky shit and walk on a catwalk doesn't really change anyone's life. So, you know, it is, don't worry too much about what people think of you. Just, if you're sure about what you're going to do and what your Everest is and what your vision is, guys, just go all in and just do it, and then tell us you've done it. I just love hearing people's stories, to be honest.
Yeah, it's amazing because that whole thought process and what I love when I'm chatting to you and other like-minded people is success leaves clues. Like, people that listen to my podcast and solo episodes, Marcus is saying the same stuff that I say. You know, it's having your Everest and working towards it and not caring what people think. Because as someone, and again, I wrote in the mindset section of my book about dealing with anxiety and worry, and it's something that I've massively kept a lid on over the last couple of years. But that all comes from fucking looking around you to see what other people are doing and comparing yourself to other people. Like, I love the Theodore Roosevelt quote, comparison is the thief of joy. Like, there's days when you're like super happy with what you're doing, and then you start fucking looking around you on Instagram, or, you know, a guy with a hotter girlfriend or a hotter wife or a hotter boyfriend or a nicer car or a bigger house, and you're like, oh fuck, and then you start to feel bad about yourself. If you just stay focused on your thing, and that's why setting targets and setting your Everest and working towards it, you don't give a fuck what anyone else is doing. You don't care what anyone else thinks, because you're so fucking focused on what you're doing. Yeah,
exactly, mate. And I think it's like, I can't really add anything to that. It's absolute gospel, mate. And the world, you know, the only thing is like you said, you're looking on Instagram, there is so much shit to distract us. Like, I can spend, if I wanted to, I could spend the whole day distracted, or I can come with my tasks and I can nail that shit, and I can do good work. And I know what it's like, mate. You take these things, these phones, they're fucked. And you and I spend a lot of time and, you know, it generates whatever it generates. But when I want to do good work, this thing upside down, and there's no disturbances, you know? And that's all in. It's blocking out those disturbances. And, you know, some people do it through meditation, however you do it. But it's that focus when you have your goal, when you have your vision, and just to be able to be all in and focus on it and just not care because you know that it's for real, you know, because everyone's going to say, like, I have over 100 people coming in my gym a day. Like, some guy wants me to control something in the toilet. It's like, bro, you know what I mean? Like, which is nothing against my clients. I value all of them. But you know what I mean? It's just like you just need your vision and you need to go forward, mate. And I think the more people that we can fire up to do that, the better everything's going to be. And people are just going to do epic shit. People can do epic shit. You and I do nothing. Running across the Sahara is a joke. It's kids play. When you look at the guys that row across the Atlantic.
Yeah, Damien, my friend Damien. That's Damien is from here. He's from Galway. He trains in my gym. I've had him on the podcast. You got to go check out that episode. Damien is, can't remember the podcast episode, but he's rowing across the Atlantic right now in a boat by himself. He's episode 117 or 118. Yeah, dude's fucking crazy. Damien is a legend. He's someone I got to introduce you to at some stage.
Yeah. For sure.
That's crazy. I love it. Marcus, so much value and everything you said. I'm fucking fired up now after talking. I want to move on to some rapid fire questions to finish us off. So these are basically just questions I'm going to throw at you. You can one word answer them. You can expand on them. You can kind of do whatever you like to try and provide the most value. Just more, this is kind of my favorite way to kind of delve into someone's life. Ready to rock?
Yeah.
All right, number one.
Yep, let's rock and roll.
When you think of the word successful, who's the first person to come to mind and why?
My dad, 100%. You know, the best thing is why? Because he's happy because of everything that we've just spoken about in the show. I want to expand on that. He's just happy because of life. Sick. My dad, 100%.
Love it. Number two, what purchase of 100, say, sterling, so the equivalent in dirham in Dubai, or less, has most positively affected your life in the last 6 months? Or 12 months. It can be a longer period of time.
Mate, that's a really good question. Mate, I'm a little bit of a weirdo because I just wear inner fight t-shirts most of the time. And all of the casual t-shirts that I wear, I just get them before they go and print Inner Fight on them. So I generally just wear Inner Fight shirts. But, mate, one of the best purchases that I've made, and they're just over 100 quid, I've got into new running shoes this year on running, and I love them. I've actually bought 4 pairs, so it's a bit more than 100 quid. But when I get a new pair of running shoes, I am stoked. So that's probably it. It's not super exciting.
I love it. What book do you think everyone on the planet should read or listen to? So not necessarily your favorite book, but one that you've read or consumed bits from it, and you're like, a lot of people would benefit from reading this or getting the message from this book.
Mate, it's super easy. Richard Branson's original book, Losing My Virginity, was incredible. I wasn't interested in being an entrepreneur when I read it initially. Super cool. Love the way the guy rolls, cares about people, supports his staff. It's just awesome. And his new book, Finding My Virginity, which came out about 6 months ago, just super inspirational, mate. Like, you look at Branson and you know, he's just such a nice dude. Holy shit, he knows his shit. And I just love that. Read those 2 books. Sorry, it's 2, but read those 2 books. Love it.
Two killer books. I've read both on Audible. They're both killer reads.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next question. What have you changed your mind about in the last few years? Or is there anything that you've changed your mind about?
Mate, I think sometimes I was probably a bit sort of one-dimensional, you know, and I've really realized that the key is, it goes back to what we're saying, the key is find your Everest. When you've got it, or if you need help, come and see me or see someone like you and we'll help you find it. You know, I think everyone is so different, but everyone can be awesome, mate. And I think before, like, I think when I was playing rugby, I was probably a bit one-track minded. And, you know, now if you come and whatever you want to do, you know, we can do it. And I know people will say that because it's your business, but I think My wife won't say, but I think I'm a little bit more open-minded, mate.
But it's so true.
You can ask her.
But it's amazing. Like I think sport, I'm very, very similar because of my sporting background as well. I played Gaelic football, GA, nearly my whole life. And sometimes you can get molded into I'll just do it myself. And if I work harder, I'll do it myself. When the irony is, we all play sport and we've got coaches that coach us. And sometimes it's go to somebody that knows, if you need to improve your business, go to a business coach. You need to improve your fitness, go to a fitness coach. You need to improve your relationships, go to a relationship coach or someone that's been there. Cut your own learning curve, whether that's working one-to-one, going to a seminar, reading their book. Cut your learning curve. You don't have to be you got to learn from mistakes, but they don't have to be your mistakes. Learn from the mistakes of others. I love it.
Absolutely, mate. Couldn't agree more. Yeah.
Do you have a quote that you live by or refer to often?
Yeah, man, and it's the one written on my shirt, show no weakness. Like, I came up with it in 2008 when we started the brand, and a lot of people say, where does it come from? And the fact is that people are just weak. Like, people say no too easily, and it just pisses me off. People give up too easily. We're in a world of instant gratification. We can get stuff. Like, just don't be weak. Just go out and do, and just suffer a little bit. And it's not that I think you should be big and tough and emotionless. No, but just don't be a freaking pussy. You know what I mean? And I know that probably doesn't sound too PC, but it's just just go. You can do. We give up too easily. Shit's too easy. Go and sleep in a desert for a week and then tell me that your bed's not comfortable in that 5-star hotel.
I love it. It's so true. Weakness is a choice, and I live by the philosophy that if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. If you do what is easy, your life will be hard. And that's just showing no weakness. I love it.
Yeah.
Last one. What is something that you believe that other people think is insane? So again, I know we're very fortunate with the network that we have. We've got a lot of higher thinking people that we hang around with, our mutual friend Tom, where you can have discussions. But is there anything that you believe that people say outside of your initial circle think is insane?
Yeah, I actually believe that everyone can do something like Marathon de Sable, mate. And we proved it last year. And it's not that and it goes back to what I was saying before about what's going to happen to you when you come back from that. It's going to be insane. And I'm excited and all of that. But it's just we're told, and it's let's go back a little bit old school. I'll try and make this quick. Bannister was told, no, you can't run a 4-minute mile. We're told that the marathon, that's a marathon. It's 42.2. Oh, I know, and I did it last year. I sent 2 guys to MDS last year. I sent 1 guy to MDS Peru last year. I'm sending 1 guy to MDS the Sahara this year. That just if you'd have asked 2 years ago or even before, if I'd have said to you, Brian, those guys, I'm gonna most people have just gone no. You know what I mean? And I'm like, you can do shit. We humans are insane. We can do shit, and that's really that's what I just want people to believe, mate. We can do anything. It's not just, we've used a lot of running because we're fitness guys, but it's the same in business. You look at some business people and how businesses started, they'd have been told no 100 times. But if you have that mindset and the attitude, you can do. You'll figure out a way. And it'll take time, mate. It takes freaking time. On the long day in MDF, it took me 16 hours. Tom and I went and ran Wales, went the wrong way off Penny Fan. It takes time, Yeah. We're running for 18 hours, 19 hours that day to do 95K. It's insane, but you can do, mate. And that's really, and it's such a nice way to round it out, mate. I just want to encourage people that you can do. You really can. If you want it bad enough, if you want to win bad enough, you can do. And you're proving that, mate, on a daily basis. And hats off, It's amazing what you've done, bro. And, I just think so many people that I know that you work with, people I work with here, when they adopt that mindset, they win, mate. And life is just pretty freaking amazing.
I love it. Marcus, that is literally the best way that we could end the podcast. Man, this has been absolutely on fire. We'll have to hit a part 2 at some stage down the line. Marcus, I'll be linking up everything in the show notes, so all the inner fight, the website, your social media. But where is the best place for people to find out more about you?
Hey, the easiest thing is to hit me on Instagram, MJD_Smith. I'm super active. I'm nonstop. I love it, And if you don't like it, stop following it. That's why I feel it's really bad. But I'm going to put out loads of content, And my story, I put a load of stuff on my story. I answer every single person that interacts with me on Instagram within 24 hours. It's been my promise since the start, and I will. So if you got questions, whatever, go over there, MJD_Smith. That's the best place to get me.
100%. And make sure that you DM me or Marcus your Everest at the end of this episode. As soon as you finish listening to this, and if you're not driving a car, or if you are driving a car, pull in and fucking DM us. Like, what is your Everest? Send it to us. I'm going to reply to as many that come in, and Marcus replies to every single one that comes in. So that's our vow to people that message. Marcus, thank you so much again.
You're a champion. I appreciate everything you're doing, Brian. It's sick. Your podcast rocks. It's great having you in Dubai. Can't wait for you to suffer in MDS, and we're going to catch up in your new house in Ireland. So, mate, thank you so much, bro. Keep it real. Keep it going. It's awesome.
Thank you, brother.